is good. Stand by for countdown.
Copy 5-5.
5, 4, 3.
Whoa. Falling off. Welcome everybody, welcome to Safari TV and our PM Safari this afternoon. My name is Mark. Herman is with me on camera. Alex is in final control today. And we're going to bring you 3 hours of a live game drive here in Safari Sands. And a little bit of a grey day again today. A little bit cooler than it was yesterday, having had a little bit of moisture come in over the night. But only thing that's changed really is that I've had to put on shoes today because it's a bit chilly. And we are pointed towards Philemon's Dip. I decided that today we're just going to go and look for something a little bit different. I think Induna might still be where he was this morning. Mishu is also around somewhere. I think he's on Elephant Skull somewhere. We could go past there and have a look. But I'd like to concentrate a little bit in the south and towards the east. We want to look for some elephant tracks as well. And other than that, no real plans, because plans always go awry. So we're going to try and have an open mind this afternoon. We're going to see what we can find in terms of animals, and also hopefully find some more signs of spring on the trees, maybe in some of the life that is happening as spring opens up. A lot of hyena activity around Philemon's Dip in this road. A lot of tracks. I think that they might be back at this den inside here. Something we'll have to try and find somehow one day, maybe following some or other animal. One thing I can see that's different already before we even get down here is this green tree, the crown of this tree that is bright, almost luminous green. And even more special than that are the flowers on this tree. Wow, amazing how this can change in such a short space of time. And we just turn in here so we're going to have a closer look. And unfortunately the pump is running. It'd be nice to see this in the morning. In fact, we'll do this the next time I'm on a morning drive. But this is the one and only sausage trees, or kigelias, that we have in this part of the Sabi Sand. A lot more further down south, closer to the rivers, the Sand River and the Sabi River. Most beautiful fresh green foliage. The leaves haven't fully erupted yet. They're going to get a lot bigger and a lot darker. That's a compound leaf, which means it has very small leaflets that make up a much larger leaf. But most importantly are the flowers, and I'm going to go and fetch you one quickly while you're looking at the tree. Sorry about the noise.
Just a welcome from behind the camera as well. It is a very nice and cool afternoon, and yeah, it's Herman behind the camera this afternoon. As Mark said, sorry about the pump. You can see on the left hand side of the screen there, basically it's a diesel pump. think it's a diesel pump, that's where we get all our water from. It's a pump that goes into a borehole and then gets pumped to the lodge and also to our camp.
You're able to zoom in on the flowers. Not much,
Yeah, I can't see them that well.
but sort of one of the spikes that are hanging. It's going to get better in the next couple of days. So this is a preempt. This is a preview of what is to come with this tree. Where's a nice one? I've got a couple of toys from this tree. I don't know if we should maybe get away from the pump so that I can talk about it. How bad is the pump?
It's quite bad, eh?
Okay, let's move away from the pump. The best will be in the morning. I'll come and stop here in the morning. Down Milliman's cut line a bit. See if there are any tracks crossing in any particular direction. The noisy pump, by the way, is a diesel pump that is providing water to all of us and the lodge, or rather water to the lodge as well as us. An early morning on an early morning drive, just on sunrise, it'd be much better to stop there. And of course, I'll do that again because there are a lot of people that are not on drive this afternoon because they're either still sleeping or at work. Zebra, old rhino track. Probably one of my favorite trees, or rather, I don't know if I can call it a favorite, but yeah, I guess one of my favorites. But it's certainly one of the trees that has some of the most activity around it anywhere that you find them in Africa. And that is on account of several things. First of all, the crown of the sausage tree is a beautiful, big, thick, round crown, so they provide incredible shade. And very often one finds a community of sausage trees. It's very unusual to find just one, and that must have come maybe from elephant dung or something, probably a couple of 100 years ago. I'm just going to stop here. I think we're far enough away that the pump is not going to make too much noise. I can show you what I found. What should I start with? Chicken or the egg? Which came first? Let's start with the chicken. No, the egg. No, what's up, Franklin? This must have been pulled off probably by a parrot or something. One of the birds, even a grey lory, the go-away birds. And a number of the birds get to the flowers, and I'll show you why in a minute. But this is one of the flower spikes that hangs down, and these flowers, this is one of the flowers, beautiful big burgundy, maroon, no, well, burgundy, aubergine, that's beautiful color. But the flower then hangs off of these, actually it hangs upside down like that, because the stamens of the flower pick up, or rather deposit pollen on the head of the bats that are the pollinators of the bats and maybe some moths, but it's mostly certain nectarine or nectar feeding bats. So that flower would sit something like that. I dropped it, another flower. I brought two just in case. This one's a little bit older, with a lot of pollen still in it actually. And when the flower falls off, of course the stamen stays behind with the ovary. It's only the stamens that fall off. The stigma, sorry, not the stamen. The stigma and the ovary stay behind. Now, this would eventually erupt in multiple blooms, and these multiple blooms stay there. There is also a very, very large cup of nectar at the end of the flower, which is what attracts the bats and some of the moths, and even maybe some of the sunbirds. And there are a lot of birds. Here's one. It's got a little bit of a hole on the side of the flower. And very often you find a hole pecked into the side of the flower because there are a lot of birds that don't have that long beak that are able to get into the flower, that are able to steal the nectar without having to go through the main parts of the flower. And of course the flower doesn't really want that. It needs a particular animal like the bat to get its head in there, depositing this pollen on the head of the bat, so that the next flower that the bat goes to, the stigma rubs off pollen onto it. Anyways, it's called a sausage tree because the fruits of this tree are very, very long, very heavy sausage-like pieces of vegetation. And I didn't know this one produced any fruit because I'd asked Rex and I'd asked Peter whether they'd ever seen sausages hanging, and I just found this under the tree. This is the remnants of one of the sausages. And this could have been, who knows, 6 inches long. I've seen them grow up to 3 feet long up in East Africa and in Botswana, weighing up to 10 kilograms. And you learn very quickly that you can't camp under these trees and you can't park your car under these trees. I've seen a number of vehicles having their windshields smashed by these very, very heavy sausages falling on it. The interior of the sausage, you can see, it looks like a loofah almost. It's very, very fibrous, but when this is green and when it is very, very heavy and very, very wet. And the seeds are packed in the sort of, here's some very old dry seeds that are packed into this fleshy interior. I doubt whether any of these seeds are viable. I can certainly try. I love germinating seeds, and it takes a lot to clean the seeds off. But I can already see this seed's been eaten by the borer of the seeds, known as the either seed weevils or what do they call them? Seed borers. They bore into the seeds and they actually get into the dicotyledons on the inside. But that's interesting because I didn't know there was any fruit produced, or there were any fruit produced by this particular tree. And here is an animal hair. I'd have to put it under a microscope to see what animal it was. Anyway, it's the hair of an animal that obviously from an animal feeding here. Now what gets in here are the parrots. Baboons get into the seeds. The fruit is somewhat palatable. Or rather, let's put it this way, the fruit is edible, it's not really that palatable, certainly not for humans. The one thing though that the fruit does provide, I'm just going to pocket a seed just in case it's viable. They don't feel very heavy, so they don't feel like they're very good. There's a lot of fungus in here when it was drying out. This would have been towards the end of summer. So this is now very, very light and dry and completely dehydrated. Baboons eat them. A lot of the animals get to these, elephants eat the fruits. Also, I've seen a lot of elephant calves playing with these fruits, tossing them around. I've seen lion cubs playing with these fruits. It's actually sort of becomes a toy to a lot of young animals. And it's a very interesting tree. You know, often you'll find leopard, in fact, many times I've seen leopard sleeping on the branches in the shade of the kigelias because these fruits are very palatable. Or flowers, not this fruit, this flower, fruit, flower. The flowers are quite palatable to a lot of the antelope, and very often you'll find bushbuck and duiker feeding under the tree, picking up these flowers to eat on them. And I've noticed in East Africa, there was once I found 3 leopard on one walk. I found 3 leopard in 3 different kigelias in the space of maybe 200-300 yards along a major river in the Tarangire National Park one day. Quite an amazing walk actually. And these leopards lie in these trees and they wait for the bushbuck and some of the other antelope to come and feed on the flowers, and they drop out of the tree to catch the bushbuck. nice to know that there was at least one fruit that was produced by the tree. Obviously with only one tree and a lot of things that eat on it, it's very difficult for it to produce any fruit. Anyways, we're going to go up towards Zoe's Road. I think we might come back this way, or we might go around to Gowrie Main. That was interesting in that in the short time I was gone, that tree went from bare wintry brown to the most luscious of green with its new flowers. So there's my flower for the day for the ladies. Scent wise, not really. It's got a flowery scent. It doesn't have a sweet smell. It does at night. At night it does provide a little bit more of a scent. So if you broke open the lettuce, that sort of fresh vegetation, crisp vegetable sort of smell. Very similar to that. So let's confuse the issue. We'll put a fruit flower there, and we'll put the flower spike there. And the fruit I'm taking home, I'm going to try and see how much seed I can get out of it. Although I think it's probably none of it is viable. Wunderschön. Back to the dried, drab colors of winter. For now. One thing else I forgot about yesterday was a belated happy Labor Day wish to everybody in the States. Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody had a safe and fabulous weekend this past holiday weekend. Back to the grindstone. And holidays for some continuing today with the eve of the new year for some people. Erev Shana Tova. So Chag Sameach to those of you celebrating the new year, this new moon tonight. Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Hashanah. And maybe especially to Phyllis and Tony and Mike, and forgive me if I miss anybody else, but I don't normally discuss religion. Some people I know who belong to the same tribe. Plated lizard that lives in that termite mound, but I guess plated lizards deep within the termite mound on a day like today, no sun to warm it up. Zoe's to go east. We'll do. We'll do Gary May and go up to Spum Road. And then Treehouse. Treehouse Dam. Time to do Gary Main before dries come out, before it gets busy. Some dwarf mongoose up ahead, crossing the road. Let me know if you're a new viewer, you just joined us for the first time, or joining us for the first time. Mongoose have disappeared into some long grasses. Have to try and find some mongoose later, or another time. And if you are new, send us an email, finalcontrol@safari.tv, and let us know what part of the world you're in. Always interesting hearing from people from so many different places. Very dove. Hyena tracks. Giraffe tracks. Going south. Rhino lying in the sand, but not very fresh. Giraffe have been very busy here, turning around and around. But they've been quite active. I don't think anybody's been here for a little while. Deborah wanting to know the fact. Oh, here's looks like probably shorthorn rhino, big male rhino tracks. Deborah's heard or read some details about the loss of lion in Africa. 80% of lion evidently lost to distemper. To some degree, Deborah, I guess it can be true. It depends on what time frame or what time period they mention, what time period they're talking about. I think over the last couple of decades, maybe, yes. I'm not sure. I know that when I was in East Africa several years ago, there was talk of how many lion have been lost. I don't know if it would be considered throughout Africa as a result of distemper. I think a variety of diseases are to blame, but yes, lion are on a steady decline. It's quite a sad thing, really. That the lion are not as numerous and as plentiful as not only as they once were, but also as many people believe. I mean, 20 years ago, lion in the Sabi Sand, the numbers were probably 3 times what they are now. And then to make matters worse, we have these coalitions coming in, causing so much havoc. Rhino's been up and down this road. Big male. Can only guess that it's the big shorthorn male. Very fresh tracks from a big male giraffe. I guess nobody's been here recently, so there are signs of animals that have been here and nobody's found them. Rhino midden in the road up in front of us now. Some fresh dung, relatively fresh. Same big bull that we saw seeing the tracks of. like this rhino was here yesterday. The water. There's a lot of urine you can smell. Almost got that ammonia type smell to it. Approaching Treehouse Dam. Got a whiff of things. The algae bloom doesn't seem as bad as it was before. Might have something to do with the weather. On the hot days, when the algae starts producing gases, it rises to the surface more. That depends on what type of algae it is. Okay. Kay was asking how long rhinos use one midden. Pretty much most of their life, Kay, especially a big territorial bull. Will pretty much use that midden as long as he's within a territory. Not only that one single midden, he'll have middens all over his territory. They form a territorial marker as such, one of the territorial markers that rhinos do use, apart from their urinating and rubbing posts. But that scraping of their feet in their midden puts their scent all over their feet, and then they walk that scent throughout their territory. So it's not only the midden that carries their scent, it's every time they visit a midden and scrape their feet through the midden that they pick up their scent. And there's so much information that can be derived from the scent from a midden. Of course, by other rhino, I mean, we obviously don't know this, but other rhino are able to tell the status, the age, the health, and the sex of a rhino by the scent of its dung. Markers. Okay, let's move on. Oh, take it out of gear first, Mark. You broke up there. Who is that from? From Alan. Pardon? Oh. Okay. The radio com's not that great, so it was soft. Alan was asking where I think the hippos have gone. Gosh. Could have gone as far as Arathusa, could go to Chitwa, they could have gone to Buffelshoek, could have gone to Buffelshoek Dam. Obviously I don't think there's any hippo in Gari Dam at the moment. And with this water getting pretty low, and having probably utilized a lot of the grazing around here, hippos moved on to another dam where there's other grazing and better water, more cover. Anybody's guess. Water, I don't know what that could be. Type of mongoose maybe. Tracks of an animal. Must have been when it was wet. Maybe white-tailed mongoose. As well as honey badger. Do Spum Road. I think this is where, not Spum Road, Elephant Skull. I think Mishu was down here somewhere this morning. I haven't seen him for a while. Let's see if we can find where he may have been. Something about the croc, but have to wait to embed it. Where the croc went from Buffelshoek. Yeah, the radio is really bad today. I think it was Dave in the UK. No, not copying Alex, but Dave was asking about, I think it's Dave, any idea where the croc went? Unfortunately, no clue at all. There's been no word of that croc for months now. But Now I think this young male, this young leopard was somewhere here this morning. But there's no way to get in here. Let's see, we'll try. Through there. This is good weather for leopard to be wandering around. Not necessarily going to be here if he is around. There were no tracks heading up towards Treehouse Dam. I'm popping in. You're right. Hello, Kathy. And Kathy's asking about the ostrich. No, that question was asked this morning as well with the people who have been around while I've been on leave. And no, as far as I know, there's been no word on the ostrich. It's physically impossible, actually, unless somebody sees it and reports it, which is not really likely. These things don't really happen like that. But it's physically impossible to keep up with individual animals, especially like the likes of a crocodile or an ostrich. I mean, although there are not that many ostrich, and an ostrich is going to stick out like a sore thumb if it is seen. I'm not even sure where Mishu. Not going to stay around here much. Signal's not that great. My idea would be to walk around a little bit and see if we can find him or hear a growl from him or something, but or almost impossible to get down there. So for now, no. Now, even like the crocodile, if it goes to another dam, who's to know it's the same crocodile? There's no way of knowing. So unfortunately, when we do have animals like that, it's very, very difficult to, once you leave them, once you watch them for 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you leave them, there's no telling what happens to them, where they go, what they do, unless we see them again sometime. Even then, debatable whether it's the same individual. I think, for one thing, we get a bit of a false impression about how things work because we traverse over this tiny little area in such a vast wilderness of bushveld with thousands and thousands of animals that it's the blink of an eye when an animal visits Western Gari or where Djuma is, and I don't know, once they cross over the roads on the edge of our traversing area, unless it's lion and leopard that get watched, and because they're territorial and they're likely to come back again, slightly different matter, but it's impossible with other animals. No tracks here. There's a good chance that Mishu is still down there in that drainage line. I do recall this morning Jared couldn't really get a good view of him because he just couldn't get the vehicle in there very well, very easily. More rhino tracks. Twin dams. The single dam of twin dams. Stop at the dam just to get a look at the water level for some of you who do like to monitor how much water is in the dams, to see if there are any tracks around the edges too, and listen for some noises. Been a bit of work being done here around the edges of the dams, so a bit of grading and scraping, cleaning it up a bit, hopefully getting ready for an influx of water in the summer months. See an impala on the other side lying down, a big ram. As I said, that he stood up. Lovely big ram. Okay, let's touch on Gary Cutline, or rather Gary Main again. We're up to Leadwood Road and up to Cheetah Cutline. Leadwood Road. Good afternoon. At Aubrey. Afternoon, Hobbs. Nothing this afternoon. I did Cinnamons Cut Line down to Treehouse Dam, and I'm in Twin Dams. I'm now on Leadwood Road. So far, loops. Okay, copy. Talk to you later. Let me know if you find any Dorven corns.
Okay, copy.
Oh gosh, we drove right past these boys. You're a wise old man. Look at you. Gee. Good afternoon, gentlemen. This guy's almost bald. He's so old. Wrinkled and grey.
You know, has anyone been there by the morning by the Central Road? Yeah, this afternoon, no.
Oh, there are 5 Duggar boys, Alapanzi on Leadwood Road. A completely different look between this guy up here, quite a dark face, quite a broad face. And this one here, lying down, got a very narrow, thin, very pale, hairless face. Just a difference in age. This guy lying down on the right also has got incredibly, well, they both have. Look at his left ear is also very tatty. A huge chunk out of his left ear.
I'm glad I'm not on foot now with these guys.
Yeah, I'm also, because you'd get pretty close to them before they wake up. And that guy standing up, the way he's looking at us, that's sort of the kind of look that a buffalo gives when you're on foot. You know you might be in trouble. Although he does have an oxpecker. I'm not seeing too many oxpeckers, but normally the oxpeckers will pick up the sound of people walking, and it's the oxpeckers that'll alert the buffalo before the buffalo see or hear the people.
This old man that's lying down here doesn't really have a very big boss, right?
No, he doesn't have a big bust, but you see how worn his horns are. I mean, he's probably lost a good few inches of his horns over the years with how blunt they are. But no, he doesn't have a big boss at all. But look how much, I mean, he's practically bald all over his body. I'd say he's got pretty big shoulders. I think if he stood up, he'd have bigger shoulders than the other guy. Okay. Hello, Jack. This is Jack in Florida. Jack, we're currently in spring. We've just started our springtime. And as we drive around, I'm looking for as many signs of spring as I can find, because every single day we're going to be seeing new little shoots, new leaves coming out, new signs of spring, flowers. And Jack wants to know, what season do the cats have their young, and will we get to see them when they come around? Jack, there isn't really a season for cats to have their young. I'd say as far as the wild dog are concerned, wild dogs tend to have their pups in the dry season because they seem to have a better success rate at hunting in the dry season. Even though, of course, there are a lot of babies around in the wet season. But the thicker, greener vegetation tends to hamper their running a lot. But no, I think cats can have cubs any time of the year. Doesn't really matter. Like you guys, you have babies any time of the year. Of course, this is what we call... This is a bachelor group of old boys that we call Duggar boys. The females, the young are in the big herds. Interesting.
Where was that exactly? I think it was coming from the family in the Radita. Okay, so the place now is going to be also around there.
Hey, from coming. Just to let you know, I know you're going up to Sandy Patch, but there's 5 Duggar boys on Leadwood Road. And I went past Elephant Skull, but I couldn't find where that other ingwe was. Yeah, Mishu was there this morning, but I couldn't find him. Also, there's no Mkwanzo on Elephant Skull, Twin Dams, or Trias, or Weaver's Nest, so he's probably still in that Chkovanin. Okay, boys, we'll leave you chewing the cud. Leave you in peace. Try and leave you without getting you standing up. That second buff at the back there, that one, it's actually got very wide, quite a wide boss, quite a wide set of horns. Interesting. Big old man. Okay, let's move on. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye, boys. Gee, you're an unfriendly bunch. They just lie there chewing the Wrigley's chewing gum, not even a care in the world, didn't even glance in my direction to say goodbye. Okay. No input signal. Oh, interesting, that one. Fabienne. Good day to you. Got your postcard here, but I think we've already talked about your postcard, Fabienne. No, maybe I left it at home. Fabienne wants to know how many dwarf mongoose, how many individuals are normally in a dwarf mongoose colony. Gosh, I'd say probably on average about 15, 20, maybe. Yes, this one from Montreal, Canada. That was from Fabienne, but that was from June, so I think we spoke about that one, Fabienne. I took a few postcards off the wall that came in recently. I don't know if anybody's mentioned them. Come on, what's wrong with my monitor? We got a couple of extra postcards recently. Oh, it must be you because it's got no input signal now. Okay. So while we are driving and looking for tracks and looking for elephants and flowers and ants and grasshoppers. Actually, ants have been pretty quiet lately. I haven't seen too many.